What's going on? It is Patrick Wilson. We are back today with another video talking about something that I normally wouldn't talk about, how I lost 40 pounds in about 4.5 months. This is a real life story. This actually happened, and I am going to tell you how I did it, but I need to tell you a lot of things about why it happened, how it happened, would I recommend doing it again, all that action. We're gonna get into that. But first thing, I'm in Cincinnati because last night I surprised my mom for her 50th birthday party. If you haven't seen the video on TikTok or Instagram, go to my page right now, Gains by Pat, check it out. So much fun, so awesome. Happy 50th, Mom, love you. Next, last night, had a decent amount of alcoholic beverages, so this morning and today I'm a little winded, feeling a little tired, so this video, me talking right now, is kind of rejuvenating me a little bit, so thank you for allowing me to record this video and have you watch it. And last thing before we get into how I lost 40 pounds in 4.5 months, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, I would greatly appreciate you, and it helps the YouTube algorithm so more and more wonderful humans like yourself can see my videos. I appreciate you. All right, now let's get into it. We're gonna go through 4 different things as it relates to how I lost 40 pounds in 4.5 months. First thing is why it happened, because I was going through a specific point in my life where I figured that this was the best thing I could do for myself. So I'm gonna go through that. The second thing is gonna be the negatives of losing 40 pounds in 4.5 months and the positives to it. And truthfully, there are negatives and positives to both. And even though I wouldn't recommend this aggressive approach for everybody, there are definitely negatives and positives to it. So I'm excited to share those. The third thing, I'm gonna detail exactly what I did to lose that much weight in that amount of time, and look how I did in the thumbnail that you saw when you clicked on the video, because it was a major change with how my body looked. It's crazy. I'm gonna be going over the type of foods I had, the cardio, the lifting I did, literally everything, just detailing it out and kind of explaining how I went about it. And then lastly, the fourth thing, I'm gonna go through what happened after it and if I would change anything along the way. With that said, let's get into it. The first thing, why I actually decided to lose that much weight and how I stayed motivated throughout it. All right, and this part of the video requires a story time about my life, and I'm gonna go through some personal details that I really haven't shared too much to that many people. So when I started this weight loss, fat loss journey, it was in about late March 2017. I had just graduated college in December 2016. I'd got a job working basically as a salesperson for this insurance company. I got paid pretty much no money. I wasn't making any sales. I was completely broke. It's definitely not what I expected would happen when I just graduated from college and got my first job. That is not the financial position and just the feeling I wanted to have when it should have been a high, so I thought, a high of life just graduating and getting my first job. So just work-wise, I was in a very dark place with it, was not feeling my best there, and then also had a longer-term girlfriend that I was with for a couple of years, and she ended up breaking up with me. She was still in college and she was going to be moving soon, so we were just going in different directions. And so she's a wonderful person, we're still very cordial today, but it just didn't work out relationship wise. But nonetheless, I was very sad in that time too once we broke up. And so those two things, when you go through a breakup and you have a job where you're making no money, and then I ultimately quit the job because I essentially was not making any money, so there's no point to stay at the job where it was a commission-based job and I was making no sales. Just wasn't for me anyway. So I was at this point in time at the end of March 2017 where I literally had no job, girlfriend just broke up with me, so was sad about that. And then also my rent was due from my apartment I was living in, but thankfully my best friend owned the apartment building. He owned the house we were living in, and so he didn't let me, or he was okay with me not paying rent for about 4 months. Shout out to my guy. Anyway, it was for a period of time, so I didn't pay rent, so I was owed him money. I was in a bad place romantically, emotionally. I was in a bad place work-wise. And so just overall in a very low point of life, like one of the lowest points of life that I've ever been in, truthfully. However, throughout my entire college life and up to this point, the one constant I always had, no matter the ups and downs of anything going on, was the fitness side of things, was lifting. I was really big into bodybuilding at that time, and I was like considering doing a bodybuilding show throughout college and wanted to like diet down, cut down for it, and just never did. Just that, like anyone with anything that sounds cool and you have an interest in, but you don't really commit to it, I just never like fully committed to doing that thing. But once all this bad stuff happened and I was at a low point in life, I kind of took that as a sign that maybe right now is when I should fully commit to something that I have a passion in. And so me, at this point in time, I was very overweight. I was 215 pounds. I wasn't working out nearly as much as I was in college. I had got very bulky, but it wasn't that much muscle. I had lost some muscle. I had a good amount of body fat on my stomach. Just was eating like Wendy's every single day because again, I was broke. Like I'd have like 4 single-dollar cheeseburgers and that'd be like my only meals in the day, and just like cereal when I go home. Like just like very unhealthy, just not something you want to have on a regular day-to-day basis. Was not feeling good at all. So I decided that I wanted to do, at this low point in time, I wanted to do a bodybuilding show at the end of the summer. And there was one natural men's physique show in August in Ohio, and that was the closest one. And so it was like August 19th. I still remember this date because I just had that date like etched in my mind, like gotta be in great shape by that date. So me at like the lowest point, probably most out of shape I'd ever been in my entire life, I was like, in 4.5 months, I want to look my absolute best for this show, and I'm gonna completely change myself and like completely just flip the switch. So that's what I did. I set this date that I wanted to get in my best shape possible, and just decided to go all out with it, apply all the knowledge I had with lifting, nutrition, everything, and had this date where I was gonna work extremely hard to just get in the best shape possible. Obviously with these other motivating factors now, I kind of channeled that sadness from the relationship, channeled the, you know, kind of depression, anxiety that I had. It was a combination of both at the time, with not having a job and just kind of being in like a lost space with work and just graduating, and kind of channeled that into trying to be my best physically. And so that was my whole goal. So throughout the entire process, that's what kept me motivated the whole time. I was like, I'm fully committed to this. If I can commit to this, I know I can do a lot of things in life. I know that I can completely change my life where it's at right now in any aspect of it, work, relationship, anything. If I can commit to this thing right now and follow through on something that I was passionate about and wanted to make happen, and obviously is going to benefit my own health. So that's what I decided to do. That's the start of this. This is how it all happened. And as you can see from the picture, I ended up getting in arguably the best shape I've ever been in. Went from very overweight, a lot of body fat, to 6-pack, ripped up. It was like damn near an 8-pack actually, was looking good. With all that being said, if you have a big time fitness goal or weight loss goal or fat loss goal, have a reason why you're doing it. You don't have to set a specific date, but if you have a date and it's like 4 or 5, 6 months from now, and you're like, I'm gonna try to look my absolute best by this date, and you have different factors that are motivating you, you can be motivated by anything. One of my good friends has a quote he always says. It's like, your why and motivation can literally be anything as long as it pushes you to go there. For some people, the motivation is to look good for their love interest and wanting to, if you're a guy, get more girls. Or it's just for your general health and well-being. Or it's to prove to yourself that you can follow through on something. Whatever it is, have a why so that you can refer back to that when things get tough and when things are challenging. I will say that I do think my why, and the reason I was able to stay consistent no matter what, was because there are many different whys and reasons that were so empowering for me. One was just having a hard pressed date that I needed to get in shape by, and so that was one reason why. And not everyone, if you're just generally trying to lose weight and get in shape, are not going to have a competition where you need to look a certain way by a certain date. That's not how life normally is. So that's kind of one of the negatives of it that we're going to get into, is that you don't need a definitive date, but for me it helped a lot. And then also I just had a lot of fuel and motivation where I was trying to prove people wrong, whether it be, again, me and my ex-girlfriend are cordial, but I was like trying to prove her wrong. I was like heartbroken, you know, the whole ordeal where you like, after you break up with someone or go through a breakup, you're trying to like get back at them in a sense. And so that was my way of coming to get in the best shape possible and get back at her for that. So that was part of it. And then also, again, just work-wise, I was like, I know if I can follow through with this right now, then like anything can be easy to me work-wise. Like if you can lose 40 pounds in 4.5 months and like get in ridiculous shape, then no reason that I can't do anything else and can't do this. So that was the whole motivation. So find something you're motivated in that empowers you, and think about that when times get tough throughout your weight loss journey, even if you're not doing it this aggressively. Next thing, hat forward now. Can you still see my face? It's cool. All right, hair's looking good. We popping. All right, now we're getting into the negatives and positives to losing that much weight in that short of time. So again, I lost 40 pounds in 4.5 months, went from about 215 down to about 174. And I did it from the end of, it was kind of the end of beginning of April till like mid-August. So 4.5, 5 months. And so first thing, I'll start with the positives of it. Positive number one is that you make a ton of progress really fast. Like again, literally just looking at the picture, went from very overweight, out of shape, to like looking really, really good. And that's by far the biggest positive with it. Like I felt super, super proud of myself, empowered, happy. I was hyped, more confident, everything, and did all that in a super quick period of time. Can't beat that. Like that's awesome. I also still did have some fun food in the mix, and I went on a couple trips as I was, you know, dieting down on this crazy fitness journey. During that 4.5 months, I went on a trip to South Beach, Florida, And then I also went on a trip to Boston. The Boston trip was earlier in this process. It was like May, so only like a month into me, doing this fitness journey on this process. And I definitely enjoyed myself there a lot more. Was there for 3-4 days, had a ton of drinks, like drank every single day. We were went to like Fenway Park, we're in Harvard area, we're in downtown Boston, just doing a lot of fun stuff, had some fun foods. So it was definitely less lenient there. In Florida, in Miami and South Beach, I was very, very strict, and we'll get into that as one of the negatives, but it was still cool to be able to go on a trip. I still had some fun foods while I was down there. So it wasn't like I was just uber crazy strict all the time, but most of the time I was. And that's where we're gonna get into the negatives now. So even though I did make just a ton of progress in that amount of time, a big time negative is that it was so unrealistically strict for most people. Like, I was ridiculously strict at all times. Even when I had like family gatherings, I would have like just a tiny portion of like the foods we were having, and then I would like make sure I had my own meal that I brought with me. I made sure my meals the rest of the day were like completely on point. When I went to Miami for that trip, I was like super dialed in, like didn't have a drink the whole time I was in Miami. I didn't go out or stay out that long. I felt bad, the friend I was with, that I went down there with him because I like wasn't fully enjoying Miami how I should. It just wasn't the most ideal time that you would have on a trip. So I felt bad about that. That's a negative. I was not enjoying myself as much as I could. And a big part of what I talk about normally is having fun food and enjoying life to the fullest. There it is. There's the ice cream truck. All right, finally it's gone. Finally the ice cream truck is gone. All right, back to the conversation at hand. All right, so other negatives. I was ridiculously strict at all times. That was the biggest negative by far, just unrealistically strict, not what I would recommend. It just wasn't enjoyable a lot of times. Like, I knew the main goal and I had those motivating factors that when I was like, this sucks right now. Like on this trip to Miami, I was like, bro, I'd much rather be getting lit right now in this club, and I'm just sitting here drinking $10 bottle of water that I couldn't afford. Sad. And then even when I went to Boston, like I said, I had fun, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I would normally. Like, there's desserts I didn't try, there was some beer I didn't have, like just some different things where I'm like, bro, if I'm only there for 3 days, I can get back on track normally. That's my thought process now. But at that time, and obviously just with that goal in mind, I was like, nah, bro, I'm not doing it. I'm staying locked in. I gotta stay locked in. And then even at work, so I ended up getting a new job, thankfully, about a month after I quit working my other job. Was just super, after I started this whole fitness journey, I was just like super locked in. I was applying to jobs nonstop. Got one, worked out well, and then I obviously started my whole fitness business that I'm doing now. But while I was working this new job, I was like ridiculously strict with meals all the time. Like, my coworkers would go out to lunch and I was like, nah, I packed my own lunch. I'd be having like tilapia for breakfast, just like goofy stuff like that to get protein in. We'll go through kind of what my meals looked like once we get into how I did it, what I did. But it was just crazy, ridiculously strict at all times. Like, literally was not having any fun foods really. Yeah, it just wasn't super enjoyable. Unrealistically strict. Not what I would recommend for a lot of people, but again, I was super motivated. So getting into the nitty gritty, the stuff that you came here to see and listen to, what I actually did and how I did it to lose 40 pounds in 4.5 months. All right, first things first, let's start with the workout side of things, because the diet was crazy strict. You got to be on point with your nutrition if you want to lose that much weight in that amount of time. But I think people kind of have it confused what they should be doing to work out if they want to lose weight and fat, period. Again, not that everyone should aim to lose that much weight that quickly, but just losing weight and losing fat in general, the same principles apply no matter how quickly or how slow you want to do it or what the goal is. If you want to actually look like lean and ripped up and toned, this is how you should approach it. So truthfully, my workouts then aren't very different from my workouts now. I still lifted 4 to 6 days per week back then when I was getting ready for this show and losing that much weight that quickly. I was lifting 6 days per week, and I wasn't really doing that much cardio either, especially at first. And as the time went on, after like the 3rd month, 2.5, 3 months in, then I started to add more cardio in. So basically what I'd do is each morning before work and or in the morning in general, I'd go work out. It'd be about an hour and 20-minute lift. I'd do 2 leg days a week, 2 upper body days, and then just what did I do? So the lifts were 2 leg days. I did a push day, so chest, shoulders, triceps, a pull day, which is just back and biceps. And then I think I did like an arm day and shoulder day, and then like a back and back and chest day, something like that. That was kind of my split. So just 6 days of lifting. I was focusing on compound movements, so still getting in all the squats, the deadlifts, the bench press, shoulder press, literally all that stuff, and then doing some isolation stuff. So if you watch any other video talking about how I normally structure my workouts, was structuring it the same back then. So nothing, again, really changes with workouts. No matter what your goal is, if it's to add muscle or lose fat, the workout style structure doesn't change a ton. It's just that the diet changes, and we'll get into that. So workout wise, that's what I did lifting. I didn't do cardio at first outside of like walking to my car in the morning each day, and like I'd walk around like the neighborhood sometimes at work for my lunch break just to kind of get out and move around. But that was pretty much it. As time went on, and I wanted to kind of speed up the pace because I had this competition I was gunning for, and so that's why it had to be so quick for me. But once I saw that I needed to lose more body fat and more weight, then I started to do a little bit more cardio. So about a month and a half beforehand, that's when I started to add 2 days of cardio. I'd just do it for like 10 minutes after my lift, and then after another 2 weeks I did it at a different time in the day. So I'd lift in the morning, go back and do cardio at night. I'd do 30 minutes literally just walking on incline. I wouldn't do any crazy hit workout, wouldn't do anything wild, just something that was slow, steady. Watch YouTube videos, I could kick it, I could chill, but I knew I just wanted to get into more cardio. And it's funny because once I moved to a bigger city, then I was just like naturally walking around a lot more. When I did this, I lived in Columbus and I drove my car everywhere. So I just wasn't as active as I was when I moved to a different city. So if you live in a city now and you're like walking to work, walking to the store, walking to do all this stuff, cardio in the gym becomes less necessary. And even back when I lived in Columbus during this time, it was in the summer, and so I'm like, bro, looking back, why wouldn't you just like go walk around the city or like go do stuff that's like actively getting the cardio in instead of just going to the gym and like walking on a treadmill? Trash. Don't do that. So even if you have some crazy weight loss goal or want to lose more weight and adding cardio into the mix, go walk around, go do something that's active and fun that you enjoy. You don't have to just go to the gym and walk on incline, especially if it's a whole separate time of the day. If you just do it real quick after a lift, so be it, but it's not absolutely necessary. And now the part that you probably want to hear about is the nutrition side of things. And this is by far the most important to the whole weight loss journey that you're going to go on. You have to make changes with nutrition if you want to lose body fat. It's a must. And so a lot of what I talk about in my videos as far as calories, getting enough protein, lots of fruits, lots of veggies, that's spot on exactly what I did. Literally followed and started. This is when I really started to implement what I knew and the knowledge I had for myself. Going into a show, most people hire a coach to prep them for the show, but I was like, I think I know all the information that I need. It's just now a matter of me following through and implementing it. And so that's what I did. And so with the knowledge I had with nutrition, and that I had kind of already implemented a few different times, trying to lose weight, trying to lose body fat, I fully went all in with it and implemented it this time. So I started off eating at around, it was like damn near 3,000 calories when I first started this whole process, just because I had a lot of weight that I had, and my metabolism was pretty high because I also had a good amount of muscle. So I was eating around 3,000 calories to start off with. I just started to make changes to my nutrition habits where I just got in full meals, regular meals that are based around a protein source, some veggies, and just cut back on some of the BS like Wendy's and all that kind of stuff. Granted, it helped once I got a job and could actually buy more foods and just like ramen noodles and goofy, nasty stuff like that. So that's what I did at first. And then just because I knew that I had to lose a good amount of weight pretty quickly and lose fat quickly, every single 2 weeks, I'd drop the calories by about 300. Did that for about 3 to 4 weeks, or 3 to 4 little like segments. And then I got down to about 1,800 calories. And at this point I was very strict. Like I pretty much didn't have carbs for any meals other than my pre-workout meal in the morning. I'd wake up, this is no exaggeration, I'd wake up, this is like psychotic too. I'd wake up every single day at 3:45 in the morning. I had made protein pancakes for the week. Every Sunday I'd make protein pancakes for the week. And this is my only time I had carbs in the day. I had a little bit of carbs afterwards, like a couple of rice cakes, like right after my workout, like first meal of the day or second meal of the day, that's technically. But this is the only time with these 1,800 calories that I would have carbs. So I had protein pancakes to start the day, and then my second meal was like some rice cakes and then like either chicken or fish, and then I'd have just like veggies with a protein source for the last 2 meals in the day. And that's how I'd get up to my 1,800 calories. I was taking in about 180 to 200 grams of protein all the way throughout this time. And I did the 1,800 calories for about a month. And then I dropped it even lower, and I was like at like 1,500 calories, which for me is just like crazy low. And there are definitely times where I was very, very hungry, and I would just have to, I got like these sugar-free jellos. I was eating just like a ton of cucumbers, like a lot of just like low calorie but filling foods that I just wanted to have. I was drinking like a lot of Diet Coke too to like get me more full. And I still do some of that stuff now with my, you know, when I have a fat loss goal, but not to the extreme I was doing it then. And I didn't have any like necessarily fun food days as much as I do now, and I wasn't implementing any fun food day to day. Like those protein pancakes in the morning used to be the most glorious thing I ever had. I never ever would have like ice cream, sweets, nothing during the week. And so I did 1,500 calories. That was the lowest I got down to, which again is low for me. Even when I got to my lowest weight, I was like 174, 175, like I said. So 1,500 is pretty low. So you can see just from that, I started out at 3,000 and I dropped it down to, you know, 1,800 relatively quick, and then 1,500 again. So it was just very, very low calories and just not very sustainable, but just the motivating factor I had to get in a like crazy good shape, like motivated me and kept me rolling to keep just pushing forward no matter what. So that's kind of how I structured the nutrition side of things. I was tracking calories, was aware of protein, just was crazy strict because I wanted to make a ton of progress. I will say that once per week, and something that kept me relatively on point with nutrition, was that I had a cheat meal once per week. So every Saturday I'd get a leg workout in, I'd go do lunges around the track. I was just like, this was like the last month and a half before this competition, because I was just like, bro, I'm getting in the best shape possible. Like abs were kind of showing at this point again, but I was like, bro, I'm trying to look the absolute best I possibly can. I'm going all the way in, but I was like, I need something to keep me motivated with nutrition throughout the week. So every single Saturday, me and one of my friends, leg day, did lunges around a track, and then I'd get a singular ice cream cone from Dairy Cone, just like a little twist cone, like just one little serving, small, and then I'd go get this like small personalized pizza from this place called Mod Pizza. And they're not super small, but it was only like 700 calories. The ice cream cone was only like 150 calories. So I ended up still hitting my calorie goal every day, but I was working in the fun foods within the calorie goal. So shout out to Pat back in 2017. I was still kind of implementing what I talk about now as far as having fun foods in moderation within your calorie goals. Was doing that, but that's what kind of kept me motivated and looking forward to. So that's kind of a lesson you could take from it. If you have a day where you know you're going to have some fun foods, or you just do that on a more regular basis, like have a 300, 400, 500 calories of fun foods every day, and then have the rest of the meals be healthier stuff, then it's easier to stick with. Or just having a day in general that's a little bit higher calorie so you can look forward to that also helps. So that's kind of what helped me along the way. But as you can see, workouts stayed the same. Nutrition, I was just uber strict and stuck with it. Had a lot of veggies, had a lot of protein sources, foods that were very filling, but it was just crazy strict, unrealistically strict. But your boy did it and made it happen. All right, the last topic, because now I gotta go celebrate the rest of the day for my mom's birthday, so we're gonna wrap it up very shortly right now. The last thing, what would I change and what's happened since then? So first, what happened since then? So I got in really good shape, did my show, and truthfully, I've not gotten that much overweight since that time. I did get a little bit overweight in the beginning of 2019 when I first moved to LA, like that summer, because I was just very anxious. It was my first time moving away from home. So I got up to like 190 pounds again, but then dieted back down to about 170. And that was actually last December. It was like the most ripped I've ever been. During this past quarantine, got a little bit out of shape, but I didn't get past like 185-ish. And I was like, could still see my abs the whole time and stuff. Just wasn't as lean as I would like. And now your boy is back looking good, feeling good. But yeah, so honestly, during that time when I just like flipped the switch and was super disciplined, dedicated, and on game with nutrition and workouts and everything, it kind of made me build habits, because it was like a 4.5, 5 month process of losing that much weight and body fat. It wasn't something I was doing for 2 weeks and stopped doing it. So it did kind of build those habits along the way. And I was like, bro, if I just lost all this weight, there's no way in hell I'm going back and gaining that much weight again. Not doing it, not gonna happen. So from that perspective, it was really good for me. And then also during that time, I began to cherish how much I enjoyed just experiences and the way that food impacts my experiences. And so that's honestly also why I started talking more about fun foods and having fun foods in the mix and understanding you can do it. Because again, once a week, I was having like pizza and ice cream, and I was still able to stay on track and make progress. And so I started to piece it together. I was like, why don't more people talk about this? The fact that you can have those foods, still have a certain calorie goal, and still have those filling foods like protein sources and veggies and all that kind of stuff, and just be more strict with that the rest of the other meals, but still have the fun foods and get those experiences out of life. So since that time when I lost all that weight, I have been able to maintain it pretty well. Still have my fun foods, and I'll talk about fun foods. The only thing that I would change during that process, and I talked about a lot of them throughout this video that I just made for you, and I talked about a lot of them throughout the video already, but really it would just be having some more fun foods. With the timeline I had, like, I would say that if you're just doing it by yourself and not any like specific hard timeline, to take your time more with it. It doesn't have to be 40 pounds in 4.5 months by any means. Like, you definitely shouldn't do that. I mean, that's about 10 pounds a month, and that's like 2.5 pounds a week, which isn't like crazy unhealthy by any means. It's just very strict and aggressive compared to what I would normally say is like 1 to 2 pounds per week. But if you have something and you're motivated and want to push for it, then it's not the end of the world to lose 2-3 pounds a week, especially if you know that there's an end goal in sight and you're doing it in a, you know, a way that you are comfortable with and you don't feel like you're missing out on stuff too much, and especially if you know that at some point you want to get your experiences in and not limit the life enjoyment that you are having, if that makes sense. So with all that being said, that's how you do it. If you want to lose a good amount of weight, a good amount of body fat, and completely change your body in a relatively short amount of time, 4.5 months still might seem like a long time for some people, but to completely change your body, it's not anything. That's not any time in the world. So you definitely have to work really hard. You have to stay super disciplined no matter the situation, but it is possible to make a ton of progress in a pretty short amount of time. And with all that said, we are gonna wrap up the video for today. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you want me to post more of kind of what I was doing and kind of the process during that time, what kind of meals I was having to lose that much weight. Just any questions you have after watching this, let me know your thoughts on it. And happy to answer, happy to try to make some content around it. I love you, I appreciate you. If you're still watching, please like and subscribe. I'd sincerely appreciate it. Much love, and looking forward to talking to you soon.